Picture this: World War I is over, it's the beginning of the Roaring Twenties, and the economy is booming. Importantly, after Americans started adjusting to new changes, the 1920s was and still is an important year. But let's specifically discuss 1925 and why it's the most important cultural clash. Before we get to the main topic, let's talk a little bit about what happened before 1925. The end of World War I brought lots of hope for the one to return back to normalcy. For extra information, here are some places that gained its independence after the war around the Middle Eastern area landscape. Poland, after being partitioned; Czechoslovakia, that was part of Austria-Hungary; Yugoslavia, Hungary, and Austria, also part of Austria-Hungary. Finland gained its independence from Russia, also Estonia, Latvia, and lastly, Lithuania, also from Russia. To add, the assembly line and factories made consumer goods more affordable. Cities continued to grow, jazz was everywhere, and modern generations were ready to express their desire for change. But this caused tensions to grow between the old and the new. Now, let's bring up a novel that we all know and watched, F. Scott Fitzgerald's The Great Gatsby, which was published in 1925. This novel captures the main nature of the Roaring Twenties. It showcases the wealthy, differences between classes, and basically the American dream. Lavish parties were thrown, and I mean a lot. This was also during the time when Prohibition, the controversy of alcohol, literally one of the main reasons that sparked these kind of parties, also known as speakeasies. This showcases the kind of dark side of wanting to chase dreams that aren't always manageable, showing aspirations and delusionment. Let's change the scene. The Scopes trial. In Dayton, Tennessee, John Scopes, who was a teacher, was put on trial for teaching evolution in school. Clarence Darrow and William Jenkins Bryan faced off in a courtroom, which really took the nation's attention, ultimately revealing the divide in American society. This wasn't just a simple legal battle, it revealed the divide between science and religion, and progression and tradition. Meanwhile, the rise of the Harlem Renaissance. Harlem was an explosion of culture, with African American artists, musicians, and writers who created phenomenal work that celebrated their culture and heritage, also challenging racial stereotypes. Historical figures like Zora Neale H., who was a famous writer, and Aaron Douglas, who was an amazing artist. Here are some big musicians that contributed to Harlem's culture: Louis Armstrong, trees of green, red roses too, Duke Ellington, and Bessie Smith. And dark at night. So, why was the 1920s, specifically 1925, the most important year? Because it represented and greatly influenced a whole decade. It gave us The Great Gatsby, which relatively captured parties featuring fashion, especially women dressing freely, also known as flappers, gave us jazz music, and speakeasies. During this time, wealth was a big factor, which meant the Republican Party really dominated this era. Cities rose because of Henry Ford's assembly lines. This allowed the manufacturing process to increase production and increase factory work. The conveyor belt and other similar systems helped with product efficiency and lowering prices. Ford's assembly line created affordable T-model cars during this time period, and his automobile company is still around till this day. It hosted the Scopes trial, which highlighted the rising tensions between modern beliefs and traditional beliefs. This really showcased America's divide because many individuals believed some things were important to teach about, and others believed such things shouldn't be taught. especially in schools. And lastly, it shows Harlem's prosperity through the Harlem Renaissance, a period that expressed African American culture mostly in the 1920s and 1930s, centered around Harlem, New York City, also being one of the first African American led movements of a variety of many artistical values. And that is why I believe the Roaring Twenties, specifically 1925, is the most important year.